Hello and welcome once again to Ignite Your Impact. My name is Jen Rhodes. I am finally seated back in the captain's chair next to Mr. Matt Rhodes.
Yes, I don't know if we missed last week or I don't know where we're at, but
I think I just declared myself the captain and you didn't say a word.
No, I was out sick.
That means you're my first mate. Ahoy.
And then we traveled to Nashville, came home, and you got sick.
And then you gave me your crud.
Yeah. But
That's okay.
We're back.
I'm recovering.
Yeah.
I'm recovering. So I've got cough drops, but it is what it is.
Yeah, so we're going to jump right in. I like
this topic.
Yeah, I recently got to do some training with some about as badass dudes as you can get.
Respect.
I don't know if there's anyone else. Yeah.
Respect.
It was Jocko Willink's company. Willink's company. I don't know how I always pronounce that. I just say Jocko.
Okay.
So most of you probably know him from the book Extreme Ownership. These guys are all Navy SEAL badasses. And they've taken what they've learned through everything they've gone through and in combat, and now they coach people on that, businesses and people. So I was fascinated at how they take the extreme of combat and do such a great job of relaying that into the everyday of relationships and businesses. It was just fascinating. And they talked about what we're going to talk about today. They talked about in combat how you have to detach yourself from a situation so that you can make the correct decision. And they talked about how detachment helps you solve problems in combat and business and relationships and everything in life. And one extreme example they gave, a combat version, is seeing their buddy. So this is the person that's been through buds and through training and everything that they would give their life for. Seeing that buddy walk out into the open and get hit by a sniper and fall to the ground. And their natural instinct is to immediately run and grab them and pull them back to safety. That's just what you naturally do. However, they'd seen this happen multiple times where either they would go or they would send someone out to go grab that buddy, and then that next person would get hit. And it would continue till 3 or 4 guys were getting hit. However, being able to detach from that natural instinct would allow them to make the correct decision. So by detaching would allow them to realize, I need to leave this person there, even though I want to go save them. I need to leave them there. We need to figure out what the real problem is. The real problem is the sniper. We need to go eliminate that sniper and then go grab that person. And that's real hardcore shit that they talked about, but it makes so much sense how this plays out in life in a much less threatening way.
Of course. And I don't think you're trying to compare business to the battlefield,
No.
Right? There is no comparison what these brave men and women do, but we can learn from them. We can use it as a metaphor for our situation. Am I detached? It is so crucial. And we practice this often now that we know the tactic, right?
Yeah, and not from them. We learned this 3 or 4 years ago, which we'll get into.
Of course.
But it's just how they reinforced it. And it's like, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. This is life-changing. This is truly life-altering behavior. And being able to utilize this tactic, again, nothing compared to what they're doing on the battlefield. But when you can use this tactic and apply it to your everyday life, well, let me give just a real-world example, right? Think of it this way. Have you ever sent an email and 5 minutes later you're like, God damn, I should have said it this way? Or maybe a text message. Thank God there's undo text. You can now do thank you, Apple. But of course, you can relate to that, right? That's a really non-threatening example. Or have you ever made a decision and when you think back, you realize immediately, oh, I wish I was in a different frame of mind when I made that decision. Or maybe you've blown up at someone or had a heated discussion or even just a really not fun conversation where you wish you could have somehow changed how it went, somehow changed the outcome, or even just changed your state during that situation. And I think you get the point. You've probably got at least 3 examples that you're thinking of right now. I know I've got a few. Now, let me change it up here. Have you ever had a list of, like, let's say 15 things you need to get done, just your laundry list of things, and only 2 get done and nothing changes? Of course, you're probably dealing with that today. Have you ever had a goal that you wanted to hit, but you can't seem to move the needle? Maybe life's getting in the way, so you can't get to what you need to do. Maybe this task is a huge undertaking. Again, you get the point. Well, today we're going to talk through that and hopefully give you some real life examples that you can parlay into your world. And not only like how to master situational things, but also how to get more shit done that makes an impact. How do you really move the needle?
Yeah, back to the 15 things. I remember I had a boss a few years ago who would look at my calendar and say, that's just not realistic. You just can't get all that done today. So I
still say that about your calendar, Matt.
It's much better now. But let's tackle the situational one, because this is one I use so much. A long time ago, I guess maybe not that long ago, I said 3 or 4 years ago, I would walk around in a not happy place in a lot of different situations. Some of them really dumb ones. This is just one example that's kind of, it is a dumb one, but it's, why does Jen put the dirty dishes on the right side of the sink? So if you're watching on YouTube, you can see my hands here. You've got a sink that has two areas, a left side and a right side, and the right side has the garbage disposal. So why is Jim putting them on the right side? Because the right side is you're supposed to scrape the food off, goes down the garbage disposal, rinse it off a little bit, and then you put it on the left side.
For what?
But
why do you put it on the left side though?
I don't know.
Oh, we'll get to that in a second.
Okay. But Jim puts them on the right side and it stacks up over the garbage disposal. So then how am I supposed to push my food off to the next one? And I bet you didn't know that used to make me really mad.
I didn't, but I have to be honest, I actually did that on purpose to get you to put it not on the left side, but in the actual fucking dishwasher.
Well, it didn't work because I still don't put it in the dishwasher.
I
know. Let's move on to another example.
I know, right? I'm like lightning bolts at your face now.
And I'll get back to that example, but I would go into my office and get constant interruptions, and I couldn't get anything done. And I would get nasty with people because I really need to get some stuff done. And I didn't like how I handled those situations. I guess I'm trying to bring that back. Those were situations that I wish I would have changed. And now I know how to do that. Another one is my food used to always get messed up. And whenever we'd eat out, and I would get super angry when my food order got messed up. Really mad. Do you remember the time that the waiter in the Dallas airport, we're on our way to Hawaii, the waiter on the Dallas airport got arrested and drug out of the airport? Seriously, on the way to Hawaii, I got a waiter arrested. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do. But do you remember what you used to say every time it would come out wrong?
This always happens.
This always happens to me. Yeah. You furthered that belief.
Yeah. Tangent, but yes, I manifested that.
Does it happen anymore?
No.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. But do any of you have any of those examples that I just talked about being upset? Now, probably not about getting a waiter arrested. That you probably don't have.
That was extreme.
Yeah, it was an extreme one. But where you have those situations where you get angry and you handle things the way that you wish you didn't. I had all the other ones that you mentioned too, the emails, the text, the verbal. We all do. We all have that. We're humans. But I have learned and Jen and I have learned how to detach from situations, much like what the Navy SEALs were talking about. Now, I'm not perfect. I'm human, but I'm way better because of using what I'm getting ready to review with you on a situational basis. So I have 3 things that I use. 2 of them I've been using for a long time. One of them I just added, and I'm going to walk through those things.
You can guess which 3 that he's going to say, which 2 he's always used.
Yeah, not always used, but within the last 3 or 4 years. And as I go through these, I want you to think about what you can use, because these are mine. So these are what I use. So what can you use? The first one I learned was during an ice bath in Scottsdale. It was like the 2nd or 3rd time we'd done it.
And this was an extreme situation. This was a very challenging situation.
Yeah, it wasn't just
the ice bath.
Yeah, it wasn't just getting in an ice bath and sitting there for a while. We had to put our hands in there. You had to get in and out. It was pretty extreme. But the last part was you got in and then you went under and you sat in there for a while. And it was tough. It hurt like hell, and I wanted to get out. And I remember as soon as I started thinking, I got to get out of this, one of our mindset coaches. That natural instinct.
Yes.
Michael. So we talk a lot about our mindset coaches, William with Upgrade, and then Michael works with him as well. Michael grabbed my hand and started taking me back to a time of when my kids were very young, smiling and laughing and giggling and making stupid faces. He basically detached me out of that situation. He just go back to that time. And I natural instinct was get the hell out of there because it hurt and it was cold. But he detached me from the situation, and all of a sudden the pain went away because all I could think about in my head, I mean, I'm literally, again, if you're on YouTube, I'm looking up, I'm literally seeing my kids right there as small children laughing. And I detached from the situation and was able to finish it.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
And you crushed it.
Yeah.
Once you had that.
Once I had that detachment available, I could do that.
You crushed it. You helped me get through.
Yeah. Second one I use, maybe I started using this one due to the dishes, but
you're awful.
When I feel my Jen just looked down at my bullet point. When I feel my temperature rising, and I'm starting to get upset. I mean, you can feel it in your chest. At least I can feel it in my chest and almost feel it in my head. I picture Jen naked.
You're so bad.
I mean, it makes me smile. My beautiful wife naked, smiling back at me. In my head, I'm not comparing the two, but it's 2 separate ones. I picture my kids or my wife like that. I mean, who could be upset at a situation when they picture their spouse naked? Go back to the dishes one. I look in there and see that being done, and I turn around and I'm like, I picture her naked. How could I be mad at her about the dishes? So those are 2 that I use, and I want you to come up with some. Now, a third one that I just added to, what I'd say, my Rolodex. We were in Scottsdale, and I'm talking with a friend named Max. So Max is an out of this world marketer, out of this world. He's at the top of his game. I'm talking to him about some challenges we're having in our marketing and in our business, and I'm having a hard time dealing with it and getting through it. And I basically was asking for some advice. I was being pretty negative, I guess. And he just stops me, like I can picture. He literally puts his hand on my shoulder and says, "Man, you are crazy. There are 1 billion people who would trade places with you today. I mean, you have this gorgeous wife who is a unbelievable business partner, an unbelievable spouse, an unbelievable mom. Then you have these 2 kids that are just doing great in life. You live in this nice house. Your businesses are going good. You make money. You got to be a happy guy." So whenever I start to feel like things aren't going that way, I go back to that conversation and remember the things that he said to me. With such conviction, he said it. So I knew it to be true. So anytime I'm feeling that, like I said, that heat rising, I feel a rebuttal coming on, that I'm getting ready to rebuttal with someone, or I'm getting ready to explode, I use one of those 3 things, and it immediately detaches me from the situation, makes me smile, makes me in a good place, and then I can make a good decision about what I really need to do.
I love that. Gratitude is an instant disruptor.
Yes.
And maybe there's something in your own world, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening at home, maybe you're at the gym, maybe there's just something that you can think of immediately that you are instantly just like, oh, man, I do have it good. I can share my detacher on another podcast. I actually have a physical visualization series that I do to get me to detach. So I want to get back to the situational part, the takeaway here, right? I want you to write down 1, 2, maybe 3 things that make you happy, that make you instantly grateful, that put you right back in your place. Make them yours. Go back to a moment, maybe like Matt did with the kids. Maybe you think of your dog. I can't think of Finn and not instantly smile. He's such a big dumb dope. He's just a sweetheart. You just, if you know Finn, you know. But I want you to think of that one moment. Close your eyes. Visualize it. Feel it. How does that moment feel? And now I want you to burn that memory in your head. Tie it with a bow. Now practice it. The next time someone cuts you off in traffic, I want you to bring that memory up, and you just can't help but smile.
Yeah, and I love
you even wave at them.
I love the way you bring up the traffic, because this is something they talked about at that workshop is you can't just do this. You can't turn this on and off. It's just not humanly possible. So you have to practice detaching. If you just say, all right, I'm going to do this, and you wait for the next moment to come up, it's not going to work. That's why the traffic one's a great example, because you have that happening all the time. You can practice detaching in a situation like that. Therefore, you are ready when you are getting ready to go toe-to-toe with a coworker or a boss or a
but
family
you know
member.
what? You're just using it. This is, yes, excellent. In any emotion you want to avoid, fear,
Yeah.
anger,
Pain.
guilt. Think about the water boy. I know, it's silly, but
Oh, yeah.
when the coach is just terrified out of his mind, and then he just looks at the other coach and visualizes something that's just
A baby, I think.
a baby.
Yeah.
And like, boom. Think about different instances that you can use this tactic, this detachment. Now, I want to be able to jump into getting shit done now. Yeah?
Yeah.
So, detaching from emotions allows you to do what you need to do versus what you want to do.
Oh, I love that. Say that again.
Detaching from emotions allows you to do what you need to do versus what you want to do. It's how you override that instinct, right? We're practicing being Jedis here, guys. We have to detach ourselves from emotion. People are good at knowing the problem, but not solving it. So I want to do this shortened version of when I get on a call for someone. And generally, and I say generally, it goes like this. So when I'm doing just a phone call consultation, right? We talk about goals. We talk about what they're doing, maybe kind of what obstacles they may be encountering, what they need help with, what's holding them back. They know the problem, right? So if you get on a call, you already know the problem you're trying to solve. So when we get in that point, they know what they need to do. How many times do you hear this? I know what I need to do. I'm just not doing it.
Every time.
Then that's not the problem.
Not every time, but 95% of the time.
Yeah. I know what I need to do. No, is that really the problem? Once you know the real problem, there may not be solving it. So an example, well, I really feel like my eating habits are holding me back. Well, is that really the problem? Or are you attaching emotions to your food and not dealing with the emotions? Like, what's the real problem? You know what a symptom of the problem is. You just need some help with it. And the answer is detaching the emotions. Think about it. Are you an emotional eater? No. Why? Because we learned to detach our emotions from food. we learned food isn't the problem. And once we really started attacking food with that tactic, food doesn't scare me. I had dessert the other night. You think I'm scared? No. I detach emotion from it. So we as coaches have to figure out what the emotion they have tied to the problem that keeps them from solving it. And then teach them how to detach from those emotions. It could be that they've lost weight before, but they went about it by starving themselves or depriving themselves or cutting out food groups or not going out for 6 months straight. And that sucks. And the emotion of how hard it is tied to that directly, to what it takes for them to get in shape. I've done it before, but I did it this way. So that pain that they remembered of everything they had to get up to what they wanted, they don't want to go through that pain again. So we have to detach from that previous situation by making this time, this effort around easy, emotionless. We also detach from those moments of previous pain to moments of future success, like stripping down naked and crawling into bed with your spouse. Hopefully no pink helicopters. It could also be an emotion buried from childhood that eating through it helped them. And we take that moment or moments and we go to a place that shows them how to goal set to get through emotional times versus eating our way through it.
I like that. Let me jump in here. The one that I use most when I started really understanding nutrition, because anyone that knows this, Jen's understood nutrition for a long time. I didn't understand it until probably 3 or 4 years ago is when I started understanding it. But when I was doing that, I had to form my identity. And what that means is the old Matt would do this and the new Matt would do that. You guys have heard me talk about how I had to kill off the old Matt before, because the old Matt would eat like this. The new Matt would not do that.
Yeah. You were able to detach from everyday life.
Yep.
Of being boring and tied into an emotion of your future self.
Yes, that's perfect. You said it great. I tied into the emotion of my future self. I had to detach from the current. And what does the future Matt do? Yes.
I think what's amazing is you think I mastered nutrition years ago. And I would say I mastered it 3 years ago as well. Because my relationship with food was when I was upset or angry, I didn't detach. I sabotaged because that was the only thing I could control.
You know what, you say that, and that's a perfect point, because there's a lot of people out there who understand nutrition and still can't get it under control. You understood nutrition. You didn't understand. You didn't understand the mindset behind it.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
I didn't care because.
And that's why people struggle.
Yeah. Food was a weapon for me.
Nutrition's not hard.
It's not.
It's the detachment mindset.
And once I learned that, once I realized like Quick Trip pizza is not a weapon, Jen. What's the real problem here? Right?
Yep.
But you didn't know that because I would do it in private. Isn't that interesting? But this isn't just for eating or for weight loss, as Matt pointed out, even though I'm not sure he meant to, right? This is for getting shit done. We want to help you solve problems. So when you look at your list of stuff to do, you think about what would the future CEO, badass person, I call her Bad Bitch Jen, what would she do versus what the list person does? You need to be able to detach from the current you. Look forward to the future you. Have you created that vision yet? And then you do the things that the future you would do. Just show up as that person.
Yeah, and I want to summarize this with just a couple items. To handle any situation, whether it be that confrontational situation with someone else or a situation of getting something done or an internal situation, you must detach and think about something else to solve the problem, just like the Navy SEALs did. They detach from that natural instinct, how to solve that problem. If the problem's a reaction one, use something that makes you happy, that picture in your mind. If the problem is about getting something done, use the future badass person that would make that decision.
I love that. There's 2 great tactics there for you to be able to use.
Yep.
Guys, I hope you found value in today's episode. If you did, please share it with somebody that you also think will have value. Don't laugh at me.
Be careful sharing this one with your spouse, though.
Ooh, yeah. Unless you want them to picture you naked.
There you go.
With that, you guys, we'll talk to you next time.